I'm going to be doing the first part of the workshop today. And Alex, as always, is our mediator and our facilitator and our watch what's going on Zoom person. And she will keep us up to speed with any comments or questions that you're writing and so on. We got lots of feedback from people from our last workshop, which was great. We were thrilled that it went down incredibly well. We had lots of positive feedback. So some people said they would have liked an opportunity to contribute more, which we fully understand. We would like you to contribute more too, but we have been trying to keep it to a tight 15 minutes so it doesn't take up too much of your day. But we are thinking that at the end of this session today, we will try and have 15 minutes or so where perhaps depending on time, we can hear some contributions from all of you, but we're also going to be asking you to please give us some contributions again through a feedback survey and so on, and we will then share this information with everybody, all part of bringing our Teach 2030 community together. Right, it's 3 p.m. in the UK and a myriad of different times all over the world, but I think probably, unless you think otherwise, Alex, it's time to start.
Absolutely, go for it.
I can't see the chat, so if there's anything important that comes up, you need to shout at me.
I will absolutely let you know.
Thank you everybody for joining us today. I just wanted to say that unfortunately, my internet is not being very obedient at the moment. I'm hoping that it won't stop. If it does, I'm not quite sure how I'll realise, but Alex, maybe send me a message if I suddenly disappear and I haven't got any idea and I'm still talking. But thank you all so much for joining us today on our second live workshop, which is focusing on the language that we use in the classroom and the feedback that we give to encourage learning. In fact, we're not going to talk extensively about the feedback that we give to encourage learning, because that is going to be the learning objective of our next workshop in June. But today we just wanted to open up the discussion to get everybody thinking and reflecting on the language that we use in the classroom to make sure that it actually does encourage and promote growth. And when we say growth, we mean learning. Is it giving our learners the chance to actually learn to their full potential? Okay, not doing very well at forwarding it here. Okay, right. So first of all, I just wanted us all to consider, when might we use language for growth in the classroom? And by that, I don't mean get your books out or please line up at the door, but when are we actually giving children instructions or language that might encourage them to grow? So the first time is when we're giving instructions or directions. So the language you use to give an instruction should show your learners your expectations, where you expect them to get to in the lesson, which will result in learning and growth. So your instructions, when you're telling them what they're going to be doing in the lesson, that should be clear to them what your hopes and expectations of them are, so they know where they've got to get to and they know they're going to do some movement and some learning to actually get there. And giving feedback. Oh, it went far too quickly there. I don't know why it did that. Giving feedback. Our language should recognise what the learner has done well or needs help with and where they should go next, which again results in growth. So instructions or directions and feedback, two very specific areas where we speak to our learners, and hopefully what we say encourages them to learn and keep growing. And how do you view your learners, and how does it affect the language you use in the classroom? This is something that as teachers, we really should reflect on all the time. I'd like you all just to have a little read of these phrases. This is actually, those of you who've done our growth mindsets course might well have seen this already, but I think it should trigger as reflective teachers, self-reflective teachers, which you clearly all are, because that's why you're here in this workshop, because you're keen to keep developing your practice, is we need to all the time come back and listen to our language and think to ourselves, what are we saying? How are we viewing our learners? Is it affecting how they might succeed in my classroom? So if we think back to the two areas of language for growth, which are giving instructions, directions, and feedback, think about how that would relate to these. And you are only human, by the way, if you have thought anything like this before, because we all have as teachers. As teachers, we're human. So sometimes we definitely internally might think, oh, I'm not surprised that they're struggling with this. But we need to be checking ourselves all the time and to make sure that our expectations of our learners are giving them the room to fully learn and fully grow as they should. And our expectations are not so low that they are stopping the children from progressing because we don't think they can do it. So for instance, if you think a child might not be able to do it, you will give them different instructions. You will have different expectations from them. You will be expecting them to reach a different place. Now, that might be appropriate for some learners who maybe have got different needs or whatever, but you need to be very aware of why you're thinking that. So why do I need to change the way I speak to that child to actually make them really think that they can achieve more? Am I limiting their growth from the language that I use? If we think to ourselves, that child is a slow learner, or their writing is always poor, or they're just like their brother or sister and they could never do maths either. Again, the language that we give, the instructions that we give may well be limiting the learners. Now, two key words actually that I wanted us to think about today when we're thinking about the language that we use for growth. And now I'm just trying to ping it on, is, oh, forgive me, I thought it was a different slide coming up. We'll go to it in a minute, but actually this is also very important with what we're thinking about today in terms of growth. You may well have heard the phrases fixed mindset and growth mindset before. I'm sure you have. They are standard phrases used in educational circles these days after a professor called Professor Carol Dweck from the United States. She started thinking about how the assumptions that we make about our own learning or our pupils' learning can limit them because there is this belief that we can't do it, it's beyond us. So a fixed mindset is when learners believe their intelligence is something basic about themselves that they cannot change. And this would fit with some of those thoughts we just saw on the previous slide, such as they'll never be able to do it, they're a slow learner, they're in my low ability group, their sister couldn't do maths either, etc. Because it implies there is no room for growth. And as teachers, everything we should be thinking about how to promote growth in our pupils. And I'm sure that you don't believe you have fixed mindsets yourselves. There are some things that we know are very challenging to do, but we believe that if we give it a good go, that we will get there. And that is the same way we need to be communicating with our learners. And that is what is known now as a growth mindset. So our learners believe that their intelligence can be improved through effort and learning. Now, many people don't particularly like the phrases fixed mindset, growth mindset. They feel those are quite limiting in themselves. But whether or not you are comfortable with that terminology, what there is no doubt about is that if we use the kind of language that shows that we believe our learners have the potential to achieve and to keep achieving, and that there isn't a limit to what they can do, they are going to progress, they are going to learn. And that is an opportunity for growth. In other words, growth mindset. If we approach them and think, this is good enough, they're not going to be able to do better than this is as good as it's going to get for them. That is a fixed mindset. And we know that that also will limit their growth. I wanted us to think about, these are the two words I was just talking about, ability and attainment. These two words link very heavily with language for growth. We often talk about ability. They're a high ability child, their ability is very good at maths, etc. But if we use the word ability, so for instance, Alex, no offense, Alex, is in my low ability group. That implies that Alex's ability, her achievement at something is fixed. She's always going to be low ability. And it sounds very limiting. It doesn't show that she might grow. Whereas attainment shows where you are achieving at a moment in time. It isn't fixed, it isn't static, it has the power to move. So it's better to think of our learners as perhaps attaining at a lower level, but who knows where they will be when you have completed teaching the topic, or that term, or at the end of the academic year, they may well be attaining at a different level. So I personally try really hard not to use the word ability. I try to use the word attainment, because it's another way of reinforcing for me as a teacher that my learners have the power to change where they are at a time. Now, it may well be that somebody is always going to struggle with some aspect of science or maths or whatever it is. You know, we all have our strengths in different areas. But what we don't want to be doing is promoting a classroom environment where learners assume that they can only get this far because they're only so good at this particular subject. So again, thinking about the language for growth, it's about making sure that we view our learners as somebody who can change where they are and achieving in a particular lesson or as a subject. So how can they affect our use of language of growth, as I've just said? So ability, it's limiting. It implies a fixed mindset, whereas attainment, it gives you the chance of room for growth. It's a growth mindset. I'm attaining here now. Before I was there, now I'm here. So have a little think in your classroom and consider, which one do you currently promote? Do you think about ability or attainment? This image here is from our growth mindsets course, and this is why Professor Carol Dweck, who I mentioned, one of the reasons she started her research into fixed and growth mindsets, as when she was a child, in her classroom, the clever children were at the front and the not clever children were at the back. And as a child, she didn't question this. But as an adult, she thought, what's that all about? That's what if you struggle with something, you get put at the back of the class, whereas if you find it easy, you're at the front. And also the children at the back of the class, what did they have to do to move to the front? And what happened if a child who was supposedly clever at the front of the class struggled with something? Did that push them to the back? We're not all good at absolutely everything. So you can see the huge flaws in this model for a start. However, I do know, again, we are all human. So sometimes we do, I think limiting thoughts about our learners internally. And that's why we need to be constantly bringing ourselves back to attainment and thinking, okay, they are struggling with this at the moment. What do I need to do to help them attain at a higher level? What do I need to do to help them believe that they can do this and to keep going? So how do we change the language of our classroom? We've got a few phrases here. What we'd love you to do, and this is where Alex is going to take over because I can't actually see the chat at the moment, is we'd love you to have a think about, on the left, you've got a fixed mindset phrase. And on the right, we've got how you can change this fixed mindset phrase into a growth mindset one. And yet, by the way, is a wonderful, wonderful word. It's a good idea to use it about ourselves, and it's a good idea to use it about our learners. For example, Carmel cannot do this equation yet. The word yet implies potential. It implies room for growth. So what I would love is if you could read through those, and please do write your suggestions for how to change them into a growth mindset in the chat. And I can't see Alex, I can't hear Alex, but I'm hoping that in a second we're going to start seeing some of your suggestions coming up here, and Alex will then be able to share them with us.
Absolutely. I am there. I am here. I am absolutely. We haven't had anything yet. So
brilliant.
So Eleanor has said the first
Alex,
go on. I was just going to say, Eleanor said the first fixed mindset phrase was Carmel won't be able to do this equation. She's changed that to Carmel cannot do this equation yet. So the second one is Helena is not clever like her sister. Can anybody change that one for us from a very fixed mindset to a very growth mindset? So please feel free to type those in. Same one with the third one. Pick any that you'd like. No, Patrick, you did the diagram wrong. So rather than saying that to your student, what would you say to Patrick instead? What might you say? So if he's not done something, we've got one. Sandy, Helena is not her sister. She has her own strengths. That was from Sandy.
Oh, I love that. Fantastic. Thank you, Sandy, so much. I'm going to write these down.
The fourth one.
We're going to send them to you in an email. You'll be glad to hear. Thank you, Sandy.
Fourth one, Precious, you are a slow learner. The fifth one, my low ability English group will never be able to complete that writing task. So write in the chat, you can pick one, you can work through them. How might you change some of those from a very fixed mindset? Oluwatosin, Helen might not be as clever as her sister, but she will be soon. Or Helena cannot achieve the tasks like her sister at the moment, but she will be able to soon. Absolutely. You might want to take that word clever out altogether. Any others? Take your time. Thank you, Oluwatosin. Helena is innocent. Oh, Sasha agrees with Oluwatosin. Thank you, Sasha. What do you mean by that, Dr. Meenakshi? Sorry, I can't pronounce your name. Helena is innocent. Don't worry, no, okay.
Thank you, Alex. I muted myself to blow my nose. I couldn't get back in. Oh, there's lots of interesting things here.
So Letty, Precious is yet to be a quick learner. Ah, lovely. My low ability group can't do this task yet. Thank you, Sandy.
We might say my lower attaining English group, because at the moment that's the level they're attaining at, Sandy, isn't it? So you're right, the yet, but there's the potential for growth. I love your effort with your learning. Fantastic. Thank you, Carol. Absolutely. Strengths are different to her sisters. Fantastic. Precious is yet to be a quick learner. Thank you, Leslie, for that one. I wonder if that actually almost shows that she hasn't got what you might perceive to be quick learner skills yet, but I think it implies perhaps as a teacher that there's more to do for the teacher here to support Precious with the skills that she needs to learn effectively. I also would slightly, because this is a discussion, the word quick, I wonder if calling somebody a quick learner, it's a little bit limiting as well, possibly, because it implies that you're either a quick learner or a slow learner, whereas there are some things that we find easier to learn and other things that are more challenging to learn individually. So I wonder if we should move away again, perhaps from the word quick. I'd welcome your thoughts on that.
Super. So
I'm loving all of your comments here. We will put all of these into follow-up email.
This one's lovely. Patrick, I like the way you did the diagram differently.
Go for it, Alex.
I like the way you did the diagram differently. Would you want to try again, though? And a lovely comment here. I think that the word can't is not good to use in the classroom. That's from Diana. It's lovely to say
it's not helpful, is it?
No.
I think you're right.
I also
this is very helpful, everybody. We will be feeding all of this back in emails. Go for it, Alex.
I think it's a hard one, because if a diagram is done incorrectly, we do have to feed back to the students that sometimes things aren't right, but it's about the way they approach it.
Absolutely.
rather than we can't be scared to say that 1 + 1 = 3 and that be right. We can't be scared of saying that things are wrong, but it's our approach to how we feed back to the child about how they approached the learning that needs the focus. I think, is that fair to say, Eleanor?
Yeah. I would completely agree with you. And actually, I think, Tasnim, you've got it sorted here, because it says you've begun the learning journey. Let's explore ways to make it better. It makes it, they're not going to know everything. They may well get things wrong along the way. But as we all know, making mistakes is one of the most important ways of growth that we have. So, and I think, and Alex is absolutely spot on. If something is not correct, learners need to know it's not correct. However, this bit of what you did was the right method, or your approach was very positive, let's go back and see what we can do, try it a different way, what else can you think of to help you, etc. So it's that implication that even if something is wrong, they are still learning by getting something wrong. And yes, thank you, Sasha. Absolutely. What we need to be thinking all the time about as teachers is how to not put our students in a box, because that is hugely limiting for them and for us as teachers, for their potential. Okay. So I'm very aware that, we've gone into 19 minutes now. And although we love chatting to everybody, we also don't want you to feel that we're taking up too much of your time. But we can keep the chat going for a little bit longer. But how has this quick workshop made you or encouraged you to reflect on the language that you use and think, because we do sometimes have to challenge our own internal thoughts about your learners? And are there any changes you might make to your classroom practice from this? So not implying for a minute that you've all, that went too far, sorry, that you may well have enormous changes to make, but as teachers, it's really good to have continued opportunities to reflect on what we're doing and just think, this little bit of my classroom practice has slipped, actually. I need to reflect and have another think about that. So I'm just wondering, thank you. I can see. So, actually, thank you. So positive feedbacks and trying not to use negative words. Absolutely. Again, we're not shying away from saying when something is wrong, but there is a way that you can say something is wrong and frame it positively, isn't it? So if the child has tried hard and they've got something wrong, then that is something that we can actually focus on. Absolutely. It's really fantastic seeing all your contributions here. Could you ask Patrick to look at the success criteria, lesson outcome? I would absolutely, CC Neil Thomas, going back to lesson objectives, reminding them what was the lesson objective, and so on. Thank you. Lovely workshop. Teachers need to be growing and learning continuously, just like our pupils.
And Sandy, that's a lovely thing to say. I think sometimes when I'm in the classroom and I make an error, I think a lot of teachers try to hide the error, whereas I will say, actually, that was my mistake and I'm going to correct myself and keep trying. And I think you're absolutely right by saying teachers need to keep growing and learning continuously, just like our pupils, and model that growth mindset that we want in our students.
Is anybody feeling brave and might put, sorry, Alex.
I was going to say, be a facilitator, not a dictator of learning. That's a nice comment from Tasmin.
And thank you, Sasha. What I was going to ask was, I wonder if anybody has seen a word or a phrase during this quick workshop and they know that it's something perhaps they have been thinking a little bit more than they should, or they didn't know about a different way of viewing some of the language and so on. I wonder if anybody can be specific in the chat now about something that's made them think. For instance, might you try to use the word attainment more than ability, or might you try not to use the phrases fast and low learners, or anything that you think, actually, I am going to take that away from this workshop and put it into my classroom. Attainment. Thank you, Sasha.
We've got Arkware's got his hand up.
Oh, great. Right. Open up the chat.
Shall we open up the chat?
Yeah, let's go for it, Alex. Okay. I'm going to actually take off the stop sharing for a minute so I can see everybody.
Okay, Aqua, I am going to just let you talk. I think your microphone should be off, Aqua. Can you talk, Aqua? Is it Aqua? No.
I don't know. Is it definitely recording, Alex?
Mm-hmm.
It says here recording paused, but maybe that's my old one.
Yeah.
No. Okay, maybe that was a mistake. Would anybody like to share anything with us? Alex and I were talking about this, and if you would like to actually speak, because obviously we would love hearing your voices. We were just concerned about the number of participants. Do put your hand up, or say in the chat that you've got something to share, and
I can't hear Kat. I can't hear Eleanor even. Eleanor is, I've just allowed you to unmute yourselves. I can't actually hear. Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
I can hear Eleanor
okay.
again. I've allowed you to unmute yourself.
Did you?
So I know some of you have got your hands up. If you want to say something, please feel free.
Hi, Alex. Hi, Ellen.
Hello, Letty. How are you?
Hi.
I'm fine. How are you?
Good, thank you. Go on. What would you like to share?
Okay, I'm just sharing what I've learned on growth mindset as well as the other fixed mindset. You know, most of the times we look at the negative side of the learner, we try to find a reason or an excuse to push them down. As we saw in the example of that slide where we're looking at the negative word, sentiments that would push the learners to think maybe they'll never make it, maybe they can't be as good as everyone else. But if we focus on the growth mindset, for me, I've learned that that mindset, that way motivates the learners more. It pushes them to their limits to see that at least my teacher is thinking or is seeing a positive in me. My teacher is saying I can be able to do it, that I can be as good as everyone else. I think that's what I love to share.
I love that. You're absolutely right, Letty. You're absolutely right. I think, and then making sure that our learners believe that they can, you know, realistically believe, you know, I'm never going to be able to run 100 meters quickly, however much I believe I can. So we do have to be realistic with our expectations. But, making sure that our learners believe with hard work they can achieve is the key thing. Thank you very much.
Exactly. Thank you. Welcome.
Anybody else got anything they'd like to share? Any more hands up? Nope.
Yeah, please feel free to unmute yourself if you wish to say something now.
Oh, that's interesting, Caroline. So, Alex, I met Caroline when I was in Zambia the beginning of last year. Nice to see you, Caroline. Can you unmute yourself and tell us about what you've written here?
Hi, Miss Sykes. Thank you for this. It was lovely having you over last year.
Nice to see you.
Sorry, I can't.
It was great.
Put on my screen yet. Yes. So we work with teachers, and at the moment we're working with more than 80 teachers. And half of the time, I come across the word slow learners, you know, relating to children that are learning to read in a foreign language. So I was wondering actually if this could be something I can share with them. I know most of them haven't had the chance to be on this platform yet, but what I have learned here is worth sharing with them. Is that possible?
Absolutely, and that is music to our ears. I can see Alex gently smiling because that's just the kind of thing that we're after. Because in your follow-up emails that you receive, you will receive an email today and then another one on Tuesday, and in that email you will receive a recording to this workshop, which you will be able to share with your teachers. And we will also include the short little presentation as well, because we are very aware that lots of
Eleanor, I'm just going to stop you. I think you're
so these workshops. We're all about community and the sharing. So
I think Eleanor's just having a little bit of problems with her internet. I think we've got a lovely comment here from Tamara. We are back on site, and after more than a year of online learning, students are not motivated to do things. Very often we hear from students, I can't do this, I am not good in art. This workshop makes me want to remind students to take out I can't and think that at this moment they are maybe not able, but with practice that they will be able to do it. Absolutely, that's a really lovely thing to say. Thank you very much for that. Is there anyone else who would, we don't want to keep you too long, is there anybody else that would like to say something? Please feel free if you do feel finished.
Hello.
Yes, hello Elijah.
Yes, Elijah.
Go for it, Elijah. What would you like to say?
Although I came in late to the meeting, but I think I've learned something on growth mindset.
Good, Elijah. What have you learned?
Okay, so growth, since growth is an increase in the size of an organism, so a growth mindset just represents the fact that an individual can always improve on his ability. Now, considering the case of the student in class, they might have challenge, maybe some might have disabilities in learning, yeah. So it's a way of encouraging them that irrespective of the disabilities that they have, they can still strive to become the best in their own capacity.
Exactly.
So in their own capacities, though the school might look like a challenging environment for them competing against those that are even smart, but in their own climb, in their own niche, in their own ability, they can still strive to attain the best in that aspect. So that is what growth mindset is all about. And so every individual can attain their best, though they cannot be at the same par. Yeah, because of variation of differences of learning, their upbringing and all that, but they can still do the very best so that at least they can move from a grade to a better grade and then excel in their studies. So that's just it. So it's becoming the best version of themselves.
Exactly, Elijah, and it's about having
the best version of themselves.
And it's about having high expectations for all of those students, no matter what. It's about us as teachers being able to scaffold the learning, so to help them step through in order to achieve. Absolutely. Now, that's really lovely. Thank you for commenting, Elijah.
Thank you very much. Okay.
It's been half an hour, so we don't want to keep you for too long. I think Eleanor's internet has probably given up the ghost completely, which is completely broken. So I don't want to keep you for too much longer. Please feel free, if you wish to leave. We've completely finished the workshop, but if you'd like to continue contributing, please feel free to stay. We are completely finished now. I can show you how to sign up for courses. That's what we'll do now. And I will just show you how to sign up for the courses. Our next workshop is going to be on June the 26th. So it's the last Saturday of the month again, and it is going to be at this time. I think it suits our learners around the world. It's a bit later for Jamaica because they were on 8 a.m. last time when we did it at 2 p.m. So 3 p.m. on the 26th of June. I will share my screen now and just show you how to sign up for the courses. Please feel free to continue contributing in the chat. Please feel free, if you know how to sign up for the courses, to leave the meeting. That's not a problem at all. Okay.
Hello, sorry to cut in.
Yes, go for it.
Sorry. The courses, are they free courses?
So, all the part A's are completely free. They're completely free, and the second courses are $5.
Okay.
But the first half is completely free, and we don't want you to worry about finances. If you are struggling, please just contact us, let us know, and we will do everything in our power to sort you out. So please don't worry about the finances.
Thank you.
The courses, I will put the link into the chat. It is teach2030.com. I'll just play the video for you so that you can see. Okay.
It is very simple to create your Teach 2030 account and choose the course that is right for you. You open up teach2030.com and visit the website. You click on the menu bar at the top and choose Teachers to explore the courses that we have. When you decide which course you would like to do, you have a look and I think, okay, I'd like to start planning lessons to reach your learners. I click Learn Today. This will take me to more information about this course. Is it right for me? Read the course objectives, have a little look at the course content, and then I think, yes, this is what I'd like to do. Part 1 of all our courses is free, so I click Take this course. You will then be asked to create your account. You can see planning lessons to reach all learners is in the basket. If you have a discount code, you would apply it here, but you do not need one for part 1 of any course, and then proceed to checkout. Here you enter your name. Make sure it is something that you will remember, so don't use a nickname that you might forget. Then here you enter your address. And then your email. Here you then enter your username. So again, make sure that you use a name that you are going to remember. And then you will be asked to create your own password. Make sure again it's something that you can remember, although it is possible to reset your account at any time. You then click Place Order, and your account will be created. You've now logged in. It says your name here, the courses that you can access. If you click on the course, you can get started straight away learning with Teach 2030.
Hello, welcome back, Eleanor. I've said to everybody that everybody was contributing. I just told them then the next date for the workshop and said we were absolutely finished if everybody wanted to leave, but to stay if they wanted to see how to, if they wanted to continue talking or they wanted to sign up for the courses and learn how to do that. So that's what we've been through. So remember everybody that it's the 26th of June, and it's 3 p.m. the 26th of June. So you will be receiving some post-event feedback materials as well. So look out for those in your inbox. They include a scenario. They also include all the materials from today and link to the recording. So watch out for those.
And we'd be very grateful if you could complete the feedback survey, because it helps us to find out and make sure that what we're doing is helpful. But also one thing that Alex and I are very conscious of is finding that sweet spot of what is the right time for everybody to have this workshop. So we know that some people can't join at weekends because they haven't got access to a device or access to data, whereas for other people, a weekend really is the only time they can join. One thing that we're considering is whether it might be helpful to have them in the weekdays, but at 2 or 3 different times to access our listeners in different time zones. So we'd be really grateful if you could complete that short survey for us, as we're very keen on surveys here at Teach 2030 to make sure that we're getting it right. Okay, thank you all so much. I think we're going to say au revoir now. Look forward to